Later on, you'll see an end-on view of the end effector of this, and it'll actually be kind of difficult. You have to look closely at the turning mechanism and the little fingers, but this small fine arm can go out there and grab a bolt and turn an individual bolt. So we're going through the checkout right now, and yes, there is movement. I know what I'm looking for at the moment. Let's see if you can find it. We're going to go through and test all of the 6 little joints that it has to make sure that they all work in the right direction, at the right speed, and for the right duration as we go and tell it how far to move and get into what's called the 0 configuration, ready for stowing out there. So there's the end effector, and we're going to get a little bit closer here in a minute. And we get to, there you go. See if you can pick up the fingers. The fingers are moving. They're opening, actually. And the very center socket is the socket that would actually go on and grab a bolt and turn an individual bolt. Soichi and I were the operators. We traded off on being the leader or the primary person. And we got it up and running, and Jackson was extremely happy with that product. As you can well imagine, our bodies are up there, and so we oftentimes do medical experiments on us, and we also have other experiments that require the data to be saved, and we save it in this minus 80-degree freezer called Melfi. The first time I ever did an insertion into Melfi, Marshall came back to me and said, based upon your insertion, the completion of your 24-hour collection tomorrow morning will be at whatever. And I went, ooh, that means they have a little plunger, a little transducer. So every time after that, every time I went to open the door, I would always go, hello, Marshall, because I found the transducer. And when I closed it, I would go, goodbye, Marshall. And at the debrief with the payloads, guys, we went through 3 days of payload debriefs, I asked them, is there anything else you want to ask me? And they said, no. I said, guys, did you ever wonder why it took me 5 or 6 times to open the door, or 5 or 6 times to close it? Yeah, we wondered about that. And so I told them the story. At the end of my story, they said, oh, that explains so much. That's my little hello. This is Sasha in the background. Sasha's going, he's wearing the same thing I'm wearing. What's his name? I know him. What's he doing there? I don't want him to see what I'm thinking. I'm covering up my face here. To be honest with you, I don't really know what I'm doing, but we use the computers as our primary interface for information. That's where our schedules are. That's where the messages come up. That's where the procedures are. So it's very natural to come floating by and use one of the publicly deployed computers to reference something. Lots of experiments up on board. I spent, I'm going to say 4 weekends. I think it may have been 3 weekends, but I spent 3 or 4 weekends helping to get this facility up. It had not gotten to full maturation. It had not been fully built yet, but it's such a well-designed facility that I volunteered my time to get these guys up and running so they can start doing experiments without my attendance. I would set them up and then would run it remotely. Occasionally when the shuttle crew comes up, they like to have a down day for recreation. Here's Clay playing baseball, and he's going to run around the bases. There he goes. He's going to run. He's going to run. There he goes. And this ball actually made it to the World Cup, and Soichi and Naoko were demonstrating weightless soccer. And as you might expect, it was kind of unusual to have 2 Japanese astronauts up there, but they hosted us for a couple of sushi dinners. Oleg is an extremely strong guy. He's using what we call ARED, the Advanced Resistive Exercise Device, and he's weightlifting in a weightless environment. Back in the Russian segment, Soichi's inviting us into the Russian segment to join them for a meal. Yet again, another shuttle visit coming. And this is the view out the shuttle's window of the RPM maneuver, looking back at station, of course. And this is real-time docking right here. I think it's pretty amazing that these 2 tonnages of vehicles can come together ever so gently. 3rd shuttle. These guys are in town right now. I'm up here visiting with them. And their main purpose was to put MRM-1 on the last Russian module to go up. What was really nice is that this was conducted robotically. This docking was conducted robotically from the cupola. And as you may have heard us talk about and tweet and see our products, the cupola is a wonderful, wonderful place. And a little bit later in the video, we have a view out the cupola. And I'll just tease you at the moment by saying when you're in there, the view is outstandingly, undescribably beautiful, to the point where I've actually brought crew members in there who had never been there, open up the shutters, and watch them cry when they look. Spruce. One of the experiments, ABRS, was looking at the effect of microgravity on growing the spruce trees, partly thinking about long-duration stuff going much farther away. But the interesting thing is the airflow goes through the lab, through the hatches, back to the Russian segment. So after about 3 minutes of having these little spruce sprigs out, the Russians came down to see what was smelling so good. Here's their cupola. And as you can just imagine, those 6 windows around the circumference plus a big one down the bottom allows us to do some wonderful observation. And we were up on April Fools. So, so after one LOS, I called down to MCC and said, can you come and take a look at Node 3's camera? We found ourselves in a predicament that we need some help with. Got some Earth observation photos now, Bahamas, Crete. And this is undoctored photography. This is, quote, real time. So you get to see a little bit of an appreciation of what we're able to look out the window. And this is through the cupola. And I tell you, with 16 sunrises and sunsets, the actual wonderful color, the brilliant, undisturbed, there's the Bahamas, undisturbed beauty is just, it's just transfixing. Let alone the Earth observation itself. A moon set. We look forward to the full moon time frames to try to get, the perfect shot. This is looking at Japan at night, Tokyo coming in on the lower right. But the star field you see is because this is an older video camera, and all those little star fields there are evidence of radiation hits on the CCD of the camera. And this was a legacy video camera that the Japanese wanted to keep up there for a long time to try to get some kind of quantification of the radiation environment that their cameras are seeing, that all of our cameras are seeing. Actually, pretty stunning to see the cities at nighttime. I was lifting on ARED, looking through the cupola window one night pass, and you see a city this crystal clear, and you go, oh my gosh! And I actually unstrapped from ARED, went up and take a look at a flyby of Chicago at night. It was just incredibly inspiring. Baltimore, Washington, and up further on the coast to Long Island. And I talked to you about the colors. It's tear-evoking. It is beautiful. So I included this portion of normal life on station, mostly because I can show you what a sleep station looks like in comparison to us. Here comes Tracy. She's going to do a little hop and a skip on the floor, and then jump right into her sleep station. So it's about the size of a phone booth, and very comfortable, very quiet, very dark when you turn the lights off. I'm alluding to the best sleep in my life was after about week 5 all the way through the end of the expedition. It was delightful. You get to see what the Russian segment looks like. That's stowage, open stowage on the floor of the FGB. That goes up to about a third of the way up the panels. Stowage is a problem. And we're going to turn here and go into the SM. And I think Oleg's at the command post, and we got Sasha, Misha in the back. We should get away from those guys. And so, as with many good things, our time to depart came, and Oleg will